And this is the bit where I would say I'm delighted to be joined by Joe from the Turfcast podcast. But for the first time for a very, very long time, I'm not sure in the history of the We Are West Ham podcast, I've made a mistake like this one. I arranged a chat with Joe for Tuesday afternoon, said hello to him, set it up as I normally do, and schoolboy of schoolboy errors, started the chat about the game and I forgot to press record. Fortunately, I did catch it 10 minutes before the end, but there was about 15 to 20 minutes of absolute quality chat from Joe. I'd already taken up lots of his time, so unfortunately I couldn't ask him to re-record the beginning bit of the game. You do get a little bit at the end, but a little peek behind the curtain there. Totally my fault. Apologies. The opposition view is slightly shorter this week, but hopefully you'll enjoy the little bit that we've got, 10 to 11 minutes or so of the end of my chat with Joe from the Turfcast podcast. And in case you're wondering, the answer that he comes through in the middle of, I'd asked him what the Burnley fans' view is on Sean Dyche, given their difficult start to the season. Burnley, of course, are sitting 18th at the moment, played 14 with just 10 points, level on points with Newcastle and Norwich, who are 19th and 20th below them. Watford, who are 17th and just outside the relegation places, are 3 points above Burnley with 13. Burnley's goal difference is better, and the Clarets play them after the West Ham game this weekend. They lost away to Newcastle, of course, 1-0 last time out, which was a huge blow for them. I did talk about all that with Joe. He explained to me that they're just not firing this season. The Newcastle result, was a real duffer. And there's concern among some fans. He seemed generally quite downbeat. And the bit that you'll come in on is Joe midway through explaining to me exactly what the feeling among Burnley fans is towards Sean Dyche at the moment. And then we go on to talk a little bit about Sunday's game at Turf Moor. Apologies again that it's not a little bit longer. I'll do my very best not to make that same mistake over the next few weeks and for the rest of the season. Here's Joe from the Turfcast.
A few seasons ago, until it nearly cost us, until like pretty much the very last minute, we nearly sent us down, and then it's just one of them. And he positioned to be Ashley Barnes up top for longer than he needed to this season, and people sort of like this. They see Ashley Barnes' name and they're like, "Oh, he's glad he's injured and stuff because he's a really good player." Like, he's not anymore. Like, he's another one, fantastic servant for the club. Massively respect him for what he's done. It'll be a really sad day when he leaves, just like it was when Tom Eaton left, just like it was when Sam Vokes left. All these sort of players. But Dyche's sort of like reluctance to change personnel can be his downfall. And his reluctance to bring on subs as well, in an attempt to change games. That's another one of his downfalls. But for me, it'd be silly to get rid of him, especially in the middle of a season when we're fighting against relegation. If you want anybody on your side, whether you're trying to fight relegation or trying to get back up from the Championship, for me it's Sean Dyche. And people as well, they'll often complain about the style that we play. But again, I think that's mainly due to sort of like the lack of investment over the last few years up until recently. And of course, the fact that we're in the big league with the big boys. We're not going to go to Liverpool and play free flowing attacking football. If Norwich want to do that, then let Norwich do that. They'll come straight back down again, like they have done every single time. So, but it's interesting. So, we went to Chelsea and we got the point, and Chelsea fans were just crying like mad, like, "Oh, why can't you just play some attacking football? You just sit back all the time." We got the point. I hate
it when managers and fans do that. Exactly.
I know Tuchel was so bad with it, but
I know
this is what
Klopp
started
is terrible with it.
Oh, I hate Klopp, man, so much. But he's the one that started it, man. When we went there a few years ago and we got a point, and the season after we beat them there, he was so mad. And he started this narrative that all the little kids on football Twitter picked up on, and all your Mark Goldbridges and people like that picked up on, and they spout it, and everyone else spouts it, and it just becomes this thing. So every time you get a point, you go to, even if we play Leeds, you get clubs like them whinging at you. And even Watford, I remember a few years ago, we beat Watford at Vicarage Road, and they're all going, "Oh, but you play rubbish football." So, we beat you. We beat you 3-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's stupid. Honestly, I don't get it. But I think that's why he gets criticism from other fans. And the fact that some people are like, "Oh, Burnley boring, they don't do anything." It's just the same thing all the time. But, we are punching above our weight, which is a term that I hate, because we are where we deserve to be. But, I think we are where we are because of Sean Dyche. And, if we get rid of him now, who do we bring in? If there's a really good candidate available who's interested, I very might be, tempted maybe at the end of the season if we went down or if we stayed up on the last day and, it just fancied a bit of a change. But no, for me, if they said to me like, oh, he's got a new 20-year contract, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, cheers, lads, that'll do. You know what I mean? So I'm one of them that wants to keep him. But I say there's been a few murmurs, sorry. But it's a very, very, very vocal minority. So like 1 out of 100 people.
Yeah. Where does he live, Joe, out of interest? Do you know that? Does he live
I think he
nearby?
still lives in Northampton. No, I think he lives in Northampton. I think he drives up. But I think he has a flat around here that he lives in during the week. Right. Probably Manchester. That's where most of the players live. Most of the players will live in Manchester. Obviously, it's a 45-minute drive away. And, it is a nice city when it's not raining. I was there yesterday and they were lashing it down. Having said that, it's like it was lashing it down here when we started the podcast, but the sun's come out now and ruined the camera. So but it still lives quite far away. But I think that's like just because they're at the weekends and then stays in his flat Monday to Thursday, for example, around here or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, look, that big game coming up on Sunday afternoon. Joe, I said at the beginning of this chat, that I think Burnley's quite a happy hunting ground for me. It's a ground, one of my favourite grounds to go to in the Prem. What's your sort of feeling going into the game as far as West Ham are concerned? Are they a club that you mentioned you have confidence of beating anyone at home, perhaps not so much this season? What's your stance on West Ham? Because I tend to have a feeling about every club. Lads, the holidays have come early this year as our partners Manscaped have the gift that keeps on trimming with a whole host of male grooming products on offer, from the Lawnmower 4.0 to their new refined cologne and everything in between. Manscaped have got everything you need to make sure you're looking more Michael Bublé and less Santa Claus this holiday season. And in the spirit of Christmas, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam, all one word. Now is the perfect time to get yourself or a loved one the gift of shaving. I am talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 is the best in the business. This hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, a pair of boxer shorts, a travel kit, and liquid formulations.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, and it even has a light to help with all those little dark spots down below. And then there's the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer with its proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs. Also in the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 is Crop Preserver, which is a spray that protects against chafing, the Crop Reviver, which will ensure things down there remain fresh at all times, and then there's the Foot Duster, which will make even the ugliest of feet, like mine, look and smell lovely, and much, much more. And to top it all off, you even get a shed travel bag so you can carry all your precious Manscaped products in style everywhere you go. So to get your hands on the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 and to see all the other lovely male grooming products they have on offer ahead of the festive season, head over to manscaped.com today. And remember, get 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam. That's WeAreWestHam, all one word, WeAreWestHam. It's 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. So go on, make Santa proud and cement your place on his nice list this Christmas by joining the Manscaped movement.
I don't think you're the same West Ham that you usually are this season. I know you started well last season, but you ultimately faded. And I kind of felt last season that you were going to fade in a weird way. I don't know how you lot felt, but I was watching you thinking, they won't keep this up. But this season, I'm kind of thinking that you will keep it up to a certain extent. I think Champions League might be a little bit too far, but I think another sort of like Europa League qualification is not beyond the realms of possibility. But then if you play like you did against Chelsea all season, then Champions League is a very distinct possibility. I think at the minute you have a lot of pace and you have quite a decent midfield, and that tends to be where we're losing games. Like I mentioned earlier, the Brighton game on the start of the season, we were 1-0 up at half time. Like I said, should have been 3-0 up. Potter changed it. He took off, I I think he took off a striker or a fullback. I can't remember. But he basically brought Lallana on and told Lallana to play in the middle. And then they just overran us in the middle of the park and we couldn't cope with it. Same when we went 1-0 up at Everton, that's what they did. Same when we went 1-0 up at Southampton, that's what they did. They just changed the system to overrun the midfield, and that's where we lose games. And you've got quite a decent midfield. And like I said, you're quite pacey. So I nearly said Wednesday then, but Thursday, Sunday, I'll get there, is not one that I'm ultimately looking forward to. I'll obviously go. I'll go and regret it.
I'm going, for God's sake. You got to go.
Well, I might see you at motorway because I'm actually going to London on Thursday with the missus, and I'm spending like a Christmas holiday in London with the missus, going Winter Wonderland, all that crap. But she actually said to me about an hour ago, she went, "Oh, there's a game on Sunday. Are you going to miss it?" I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, "Well, we're in London." I said, "Yeah, but we're leaving on Sunday. We'll probably leave at 8 a.m. and bombing up and get there." She's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "I'll definitely get there."
Yeah,
so
just
that's
me.
Going to be me on Sunday. Yeah, that was me on Sunday. So I'll make it the same journey as you, but I'll get there. It'll be freezing. It'll be raining, and I'll be like, "Why am I here?" But obviously we do it because we love them, don't we? So it's one of them. That was an awful freeze for him, by the way. But it is what it is.
How do you see the game going, and sort of style wise, or whatever? You mentioned the midfield there, but how do you see the game playing out?
I'm hoping that he's seen enough of the midfield getting overrun, and I'm hoping he maybe tries 4-5-1 or something like that, or 3-5-2, something like that, something where you have more in the middle. It's one of them though. I'm not like. Like I say, I don't want to criticise him too much, but I know he's just going to play 4-4-2, and the same thing is going to happen again. And if that is the case, then we will lose the battle in the middle of the park, and it'll be a comfortable West Ham win, probably 2-0, something like that. But one of them 2-0s where you never really get out of third, fourth gear. That's where we are at the minute, unfortunately. And obviously, we're going to do a podcast on my show in like 15-20 minutes and then finish this. And I'll try and sound a bit happier, but I don't really think that I can, to be honest. But yeah, that's how I think it's going to go.
Excellent, mate. Excellent. Well, I mean, it fills me with confidence. Although there's one of those things, whenever you speak to fans who are like, "Nah, we're rubbish. You'll definitely win."
Honestly, mate, it would be so Burnley. It'd be so Burnley if we turn you over. Like, just a result out of nowhere. Everyone would just be like, "What on earth has just happened?" But everyone's like, "Yeah, but that's just Burnley, isn't it? That's just what we do."
Dear. Well, Joe from the Turfcast Podcast, it's brilliant to have you on. You guys are great with us. We appreciate you giving us your time each and every season. One thing, and before we go, you sort of mentioned it there, Joe. Just give us an actual score prediction for how you think the game's going to go. Turf Moor, Sunday afternoon, West Ham v Burnley.
I very rarely predict defeats, but like I said, you've caught me on a bad week. I'll only predict a defeat if we're away from home at a top six club, or should I say a big six club, because I guess you're technically our top six at the minute. And I'm on their podcast. And even when I then invite them onto my podcast, I'd be like, "Oh, no, 1-1, something like that." But it's one of them. I do think West Ham are going to beat us. I'm hoping that the Newcastle game is our wake-up call. It needs to be. The last few seasons, I remember a few years ago, we got beat 5-1 at home on Boxing Day against Everton, who we've got on Boxing Day this year. And that was, we all left the turf thinking, that's it, we're down. I can't see how we're going to get out of this. Like I said, it was the year when we had Joe Hart in net, and the year after we played for you, I think, or a couple of years after we played for you.
That'll be why.
Yeah, well, and Sean just refused to change him for whatever reason. But then after that game, that was the wake-up call. They had a big meeting, apparently. Then we played you boys, actually, about 3 days later. And I think we beat you 2-0. It needs to be, the Newcastle game needs to be the wake-up call. So fingers crossed for something like that. It's a same opponent. So, fingers crossed. But you're a far better side than you were 3-4 years ago. So it's going to be very, very, very tough. But that Newcastle game needs to be the wake-up call. Or else, like I said, on January the 15th, if we're in a similar position or worse, after just getting beaten against Leicester at home, then I'll be leaving the turf like I did on Boxing Day a few years ago, thinking that is it. There is no way we're getting out of this.
So what's the score going to be then?
2-0 West Ham.
2-0 to West Ham. Oh, God, that's funny and makes me nervous rather than confident, actually. But look, Joe from the Turfcast Podcast, brilliant to have you on again, mate. Thanks so much for joining us. That's West Ham against Burnley. I do fancy a win. I've just got a good feeling about Turf Moor. So score prediction from my end. I might match you, I think. No, I reckon you will score because we've got Zouma has just been announced. He's out for a few months. Ogbonna out as well, which means Dawson and Diop at the back, which is very much our B team of centre-back partnerships. So I fancy you'll score, but hopefully we'll have enough going forward. So I'm going to go 3-1. to West Ham. I'm looking forward to that game. I'll be up there on Sunday representing the We Are West Ham podcast. Joe, brilliant to have you with us.